Odd to open the New York Times and actually see a push of anti-AI and actually trying to make a rhetorical rallying cry against it that comes from a very obscure science fiction show. Now, a lot of science fiction references have been applied to AI since its inception. People talk about the 3 laws of robotics quite often, and of course the Terminator. They're like, okay, we know where this goes. But there's also no indication that AI as it stands is anything like what we're seeing in a lot of those science fiction books. If anything, it's just a benevolent tool. It's not even really intelligence for the most part. It's just pattern recognition, spitting out different things. And so when you look at this right here, and you see how they are likening it to Cylons and stuff as if it's actually alive, this gets pretty interesting and kind of over the top. And it goes to show just how scared these cultural institutions really are about AI. And there's a reason for that, because cultural institutions like the New York Times aren't super relevant in the age of AI. Well, I can write an article in AI in 15 seconds, and so can you. Well, if you don't have anything interesting to say, which the New York Times often doesn't, and you don't have a great point, and you don't have great facts that you're presenting to people, there's not much need for those cultural institutions. They can't gatekeep journalism anymore. They can't gatekeep creative writing. They can't gatekeep art like they are doing. And so a lot of these corporations are about gatekeeping. And of course, Hollywood and the like knows that movies are next. And when we can make our own movies with zero cost, gosh, that's going to change the game really, really quickly. And that's something that is going to rock the entertainment industry. So entertainment and news are hit hardest by the AI, because if there's somebody with a really good message and something to say, and they can use AI to really polish themselves up and use editorial tools more than ever before, they know that there's a problem. That's exactly why this hits the New York Times. But this is kind of normal. These gatekeeping groups end up using these references a lot in culture. It's not just with AI. It's been over the last 10, 15 years, and we're going to cover that right here. So please hit the like and subscribe button. Let me know if you even know what Battlestar Galactica is. Are you a Battlestar Galactica fan? I loved this show until the final season. I think the final season really went off the rails. Happens a lot. This seemed to be a mid-2000s TV show kind of thing, because Lost did the same thing. Lost was really interesting, and then they ruined it with the ending also. It's like, what happened with a lot of those shows? I can keep going, but I don't need to name every show from the mid-2000s. Let's get into this news. So like I said, this is a normal thing in cultural gatekeeping. If you went back into 2014, they would use Harry Potter in every reference, and it actually came pretty prevalent in Gamergate. When Gamergate was talking about, of course, ethics in gaming journalism and the like, it comes back to journalism, they would use a lot of Harry Potter references in talking about this sort of thing. And the Gamergate, pro-Gamergate people, who were the influencers in this space, actually coined a sort of meme that was read another book, because all they would talk about was Harry Potter. Now, incidentally, those same people who would reference Harry Potter like that, all they do now is hate on Harry Potter because of J.K. Rowling and her activism on X, which is really, really funny. It's ironic that the thing that they held up for so long has them so triggered at this point like this. But this is not it. It's used in everything. Marvel's Avengers got used for the 2020 and 2024 election. You see the Avengers assembled for democracy. Well, it's like, well, wait a minute. I mean, if they're telling you to vote one way for democracy, it doesn't really make any sense. And if they're just for democracy, are they just telling people to vote in general? No, they're not. They were just for one-sided thing, and they try to use the Hollywood institutions for one side for their own political agenda. We saw this also with Joe B-1 Kenobi. Mark Hamill gave his Joe Biden Star Wars nickname at the White House. It was painful watching this kind of thing coming from Luke Skywalker. They were trying to use celebrity and, of course, these terms to influence the culture in the way that they want. Now, AI is very similar. And they've been trying to up their rhetorical game with the anti-AI crowd, because as they make their arguments, like it's stealing. Well, it's not stealing. It's actually transformative and something different. Okay, that's not an actual rational argument. Well, I worked really hard on this art and you didn't work hard on that. Well, it's like, well, wait a minute. Are you saying that something like the amount of hours you work on something gives it its value, not its utility? That's Marxist in nature. It doesn't actually make sense. Oh, no, it's not. Doesn't make sense. Well, this is human-made. Well, most human-made things are objectively pretty bad. So you look at the arguments on that level, and they don't have any good, solid foundational arguments. It's just them rooting out of fear, and it's fear that their institutions are going to crumble, which it very well might as this all goes along. Now, as you can see, there's a Democratic congressman who's now coining this new term based on Battlestar Galactica, again, a science fiction program from the mid-2000s. The Cylons were robot bad guys in that, if you don't know the reference, because it is pretty obscure. What makes this different about AI is this is a pretty obscure reference compared to Star Trek, Star Wars, Avengers, Harry Potter. Those are much bigger cultural items, right? Sick of yelling representative into a phone 10 times just to talk to a human being? My new bill makes sure you don't have to talk to a clanker if you don't want to. And that's the term, clanker. Clanker is the term that the humans used for Cylons. It was a derogatory term in Battlestar Galactica, dehumanizing them, much like is done in war a lot of times against opponents. What's interesting is this is kind of the side that's about diversity and inclusivity, and they're actually trying to like label something as like a derogatory term, like as a sort of stereotypical thing. It doesn't make a lot of sense just from their value standpoint there. But this is exactly what they're doing with the rhetoric to try to make a rhetorical point about AI in order to, of course, get it removed. Now, the New York Times even knows that this is a term that's so so niche that they can't even talk about what it is in their headline. How clanker became an anti-AI rallying cry. They don't talk about Battlestar Galactica with the subheadline too. The term, which was popularized by a Star Wars show, so using the Star Wars show as a not just sci-fi show, but they're trying to SEO Star Wars because they know that Battlestar Galactica will not actually make it very interesting for an article. Now, this is pretty interesting on this level. It's like, wow, they are making Battlestar Galactica into a cultural icon, but they won't even name Battlestar Galactica because it's not culturally iconic enough to do it. And I don't think this is going to help them. I don't think this is going to help the cause. These are people shouting into the wind. As they keep going about AI, it's not actually going anywhere. The use is actually being more and more adopted day by day. They can complain about it all they want, but it doesn't seem to be actually moving the needle whatsoever. And I'm seeing them getting more and more desperate. Now, what comes as they get more and more desperate, as it's being banned from conventions? AI artists are getting removed and forcibly removed. What happens next? Well, I'm not sure about that, and we'll see just how far these people are willing to go in the name of their anti-AI crusade, but it's getting really wild out there. Now, they are saying that this term's being used a lot on Blue Sky and TikTok especially. And that's kind of where it's going. It's among Gen Z, quote, is what they're saying is popularizing this term. Not sure if that's actually the case, but this is an interesting story nonetheless. Have you heard the term clanker in use of AI yet? Leave a comment down below. Love to hear from you. Hit the like and subscribe button. We'll be back.